Okay, so the assignment, so the CTA is called Culminating Task Activity Truth of the Story. So students will select one novel approved by the teacher and begin completing a series of journal entries. Don't worry about the journal entries. It just means you need to carry a series of notes, right? In preparation for the final culminating unit. It consists of two parts. The first part is that you're going to choose a novel set in a significant moment in history. So like Civil Rights Movement or FLQ crisis or any moment in history, the invasion of Afghanistan by the Soviet Union, whatever it is. You will create a 1,500 word essay discussing whether or not the novel gives a truthful historical account of the time period, using two additional sources to verify the novel's historical accuracy. So simply is that you're going to choose a novel set in a time period, and you're going to do some read the novel, and you're going to determine whether the novel is historically accurate. Does it give an accurate portrayal of what would happen in real life? Right, because the types of historical fiction that we read, they put characters in real world situations, and then they might make the character isn't real. What might happen to the character is not real, but the events around them tend to be real, and the situation they exist in tends to be real. So when we used to read Book of Negroes for the course, it was set at the tail end of slavery in North America. And it has the characters experiencing things that a person who was a slave would have experienced. So that is historically accurate. Does her actions in the book and what she does, that's not really accurate. Even the task she's given, which is writing the names of all the British loyalists who fought in the Civil War in order to have them escape to Canada, she wouldn't have done that. That was done by a British soldier. But the idea of this book, that's called the Book of Negroes, that has all these people there, is an actual book that exists. It's in Halifax. So it's about determining whether your book is actually telling you what actually happened in history. Right? The same difference that if you watch a Tarantino novel, like when he made the movie Inglourious Basterds, he said it in World War II, but he had Hitler being killed at a theater. That's not accurate at all, right? But German soldiers hunting down Jewish people in countries and killing them, that's accurate. Okay, the second part is the essay is you create a presentation focusing on one point in your essay that establishes or disproves the historical accuracy of your novel. So your presentation is basically your fourth paragraph explained, because your fourth paragraph would be the strongest reason that proves your point. This just breaks down the learning goals. So we have oral communication, reading, writing, and media studies, right? So basically what I've come down to is sort of a breakdown of how you should organize, do it by the dates. Now, they're flexible, but again, we want to make sure we finish this by the end of the month. So tomorrow you want to choose a novel. Now I've got about 6 novels that I know that are relatively short, that are historical fiction that you could choose.
Okay.
Because I don't want you to choose something that's too long, and I'll show you the list later, or I'll attach the list to the CTA so you can download it. Then on the 16th, which is about 2 weeks, we're going to have a conference where you're going to create a series of notes, basically, and I'll go over what should look like. Again, it's something where I'm in grade 10. I remember I used to make journal entries and you have to check them. Grade 12, we're not going to do that. I'm going to say, here's the structure of what the note should look like. You should have a couple of these done for you, and then you and I will discuss it. So if you've got them or show them to me and I say, okay, I'll give you some feedback, great. If you're saying I don't have it done, then I'll say, okay, so how are you going to do the next stage? On the 27th, you're going to create an outline of your essay. And before that, I'll go over what's going to be in the outline. Then on the 28th, you finish a rough draft. On the 29th, is the final draft of the presentation. Now, class is over on the 30th. So if you said to me, Walid, I want to hand in my essay on the 30th, but I want to do my presentation on the 29th, that's fine. But the essay should be headed in not like 30th at 3 o'clock. It should be 30th in the morning so you can look at it, mark it, and tell me if you have any questions. All right, so I will accept your CTA by the 30th. If you need to, you have to check in on the 30th anyway, but if I have all your marks and I have everything good, I might dismiss you early saying, well, I've got everything I need. I can create your mark. You can go. right? But you can have to the 30th to finish your CTA if you need it. All right?
Okay.
Okay. All right. So when we talk about journal entries for your CTA, it says ISU. That's how we used to call it before. Basically, what you do when you want to, when you're looking at your novel. So let's say you choose a novel, right? And you want to start together notes to determine its historical accuracy. What you do is you can create a journal entry where you talk about the name of the book that you've chosen, the day that you read it, the number of pages that you read, and then your name, the date of the time you read the novel, the amount of pages you read in your one sitting, and then the name of the novel. The first thing you want to do is do 5 to 10 point form notes on what has happened in the novel based upon the pages that you read. Point form notes are about a sentence long. They contain anywhere from 10 to 12 words, and they just get to, and it just basically gives the basic information what's happened in what you've read, right?
Okay.
The next thing you do is historical connection. 3 to 5 point form notes, you discuss what historical connection or event is being described. So when people have done the kite runner as the CTA, and they say, what's the historical connection? The kite runner starts off with the kids hearing tanks in the streets of Kabul and the Soviet Union taking over Afghanistan.
Oh.
You would have that as, well, here's something that happened in the book. I want to see if it's historically accurate. You write that down. Yeah, or 2 or 3 things that happened in the section that you're reading, right? So let's say it's Soviets invading Afghanistan, and let's say it's the next thing that happens in the book was the murder of the ruling party and an establishment of a Soviet overseer to run the country. Whatever it is, right? You would say, I think this is historically accurate. I think these parts are historically accurate. And then you need to go find evidence of it, right? Next thing you do is a personal response. Reflect on what any themes, ideas, and points that you've read so far in the novel. But you need to make sure that when you set up a historical connection, you say this is the things you're going to look at. Later on, when you're doing your essay and you're choosing, let's say, and you're sort of gathering your information and analyzing it, that's when you would look at whether or not what you described in your novel actually happens in history. Right? That's what means historical accuracy. Are you truly portraying what's happening in that time period? Okay. Yes?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So that's pretty much the thing. Now, here is how I'm breaking down the assignment, but again, we can look at this later. It just talks about the structure of the essay. I will go over this when we get closer to the outline stage, which will be like after the 16th. I'll take a day and I'll say, okay, let's focus on how you're going to write your essay. And your presentation, right? And you complete both and you're done your CTA, no exam, no fuss, no muss. Now I have to see if I'm gonna stop the share for a second and I'm just going to pull up something that I hope will make things a little easier for both you and Nicole. So Nicole, you've done a course before. So I would say if you kind of read your book and you got that done, use the same book, right? No need to do it again unless you want to try it again, right? Because that will help you with not having to think about having to read another book. Does that make sense?
Uh-huh.
Okay. Now, Patrick, the issue is, normally I would say in summer, because of just the tightness of what happens in summer, I would say, hey, just choose a book that you've read in the past and just refresh yourself on what happened in the book. But again, if your book is not historically accurate or not set in a specific time period it happened, it's not a good idea, right? So what I want to show you both is a list of potential books. So the thing I noticed that when people do this and we choose a novel for a CTA, inevitably what happens is people choose the most difficult and dense novel because they think they should. And that's not the case. You really should choose a piece of work that's less than 300 pages because it's not going to be a faster read. A piece of work that, that you should be able to interpret and find your points. Remember, when writing your essay, I'm only looking for 3 reasons that prove its historical accuracy, or 3 reasons that disprove its historical accuracy. So really, when you look at your entire novel, you're looking at 3 separate events that will help prove your thesis statement. Right? So here are the list of books that that I pulled when I say historical fiction, and they're short. So some of them, not any of them, maybe the longest one of them is about 300 pages, but they're pretty fast reads. I would look at any of these ones. The Great Gatsby, I tend to recommend to people. It's about less than 200 pages. Well, the language might be a little dense, like written in a way to be more poetic and written in a very specific style. It is a very fast read, right? And again, you could talk about, does the Gatsby really convey nightlife in the 1920s in America? So I would choose any one of these books. I'll throw this list up on my Willow. I think I have it there, but I'll make sure I'll add it there. I would choose one of those books to get started on your reading part of it. Again, audiobooks are also great. If you can get it, do it, listen to it, and then make a series of notes so that when we have our discussion on the 16th, you can say, okay, I know what I need to show well. I know what I need to do. Any questions so far?
Nope.
Okay, so I'm going to leave you both here while I go talk to Kathy. Then I'll put everyone into one room together again, but I want to go over her CTA with her.
Okay.
Okay? All right. So I'm going to stop the share.